Now, in today's lecture, we are going into details of chemical synthesis of nanomaterial. This method is also known as Sol-Gel method. It is popularly known as Sol-Gel method. In this method, there are total 4 steps. What are those 4 steps? Hydrolysis, polycondensation, hydration, and thermal decomposition. I repeat, in Sol-Gel method of preparation of nanomaterial, there are total 4 steps for the preparation of nanomaterial. Number 1, hydrolysis means addition of water molecule. Number 2, polycondensation means polymerization. After that, hydration. After that, thermal decomposition. There are 4 different stages for the manufacturing or preparation of synthesis of nanomaterial. Now let me remove this so that we can get the space. Now how to prepare nanomaterial, that I have represented it in a diagrammatic manner. First of all, we have to consider, we have to take precursor. What is precursor? In this case, precursor is nothing but metal alkoxide. At this place, M stands for metal, R stands for alkyl group, means CH3 or C2H5 or whatever it is, and O stands for oxygen atom. At this place, we are considering metal alkoxide. This is alkyl group. Metal alkoxide as a precursor we have taken, which is present in the form of solid. Now this metal alkoxide, it is mixed with the water and hydrolysis is carried out. At this place, we are using water molecule. Means we are carrying out hydrolysis. In this hydrolysis process, what we are doing, metal alkoxide is taken, it is mixed with water and it is staked. It is mixed properly. It is mixed properly so as to convert it into Sol. What is Sol? Sol is nothing but the colloidal solution. Don't confuse the matter. I repeat once again. What we are doing is, we are taking first of all precursor compound. What is precursor compound? Precursor compound is nothing but metal alkoxide. For example, let me consider sodium alkoxide, sodium methoxide, or whatever it is. Means metal alkoxide is taken as a precursor, and this metal alkoxide undergoes hydrolysis, means water is added and the compound is shaken so as to form Sol. Sol is nothing but colloidal solution. What is colloidal solution? In this colloidal solution, these solid particles, these solid particles are acting as a dispersed phase, whereas this solid dispersed phase have been distributed in dispersion medium, that is known as aqueous medium, because we have taken water. So water is acting as a dispersion medium, and in that particular dispersion medium, means in this whole round bottom flask, dispersion medium is the aqueous water is present, and in which these solid particles are spreaded over. That is known as colloidal solution. We call it as Sol. If the same Sol undergoes dehydration, we are carrying out spinning also. We will discuss it later. If the same Sol or colloidal solution undergoes dehydration, means whatever water is there or any volatile liquid is there, if it allows for the dehydration, means removal of water molecule, then we get gel. This gel, after rapid drying, we are getting aerogel, right? But if the same Sol or gel undergoes spinning, this gel is getting converted into zero gel. And this zero gel, after calcination, what is calcination? Whatever we are getting at this step after spinning, whatever at this place we are getting clusters of nanomaterial. We are getting clusters of nanomaterial, and this cluster of nanomaterial, if it undergoes the process of calcination, here I have written calcination, the same substance is undergoing calcination process. Everywhere there is calcination. What is calcination? Calcination is nothing but heating of the substance at a high temperature. If the substance is heated at high temperature, then the particular substance gives you nanomaterialized substance in a fine different forms. At this place we are getting powdered nanomaterial. At this place we are getting thin film coating on a surface, whereas at this place we are getting ceramic material. Now let us try to understand the reactions which are involved in this process. What are those reactions? Number one, hydrolysis. In case of hydrolysis, metal alkoxide undergo hydrolysis, means addition of water molecule, so as to produce metal hydroxide. And the same metal hydroxide undergoes condensation reaction. Same metal hydroxide is there, MOH, metal hydroxide, undergo condensation reaction with metal alkoxide. Same substance is undergoing hydrolysis with metal. This metal alkoxide we have taken at this place, MOR. I have taken it from this place, remaining molecules. Whereas MOH means metal hydroxide, I have taken it at this place. This metal hydroxide and metal alkoxide undergoes condensation reaction so as to form metal oxides and alkyl alcohol, right? This is nothing but the two important steps or the reactions of preparation of nanomaterial. Now, in the next part of our topic, we are going into details of modern techniques or the modern tools or the modern instruments which are available nowadays, which are used for the analysis of nanomaterial. If you prepare nanomaterial, you need to analyze it. You need to study it. If you want to study it, which type of instruments are used, now let us discuss about those instruments. In fact, let me tell you one thing, whatever instruments are used or what is the use of that instrument or like that, this question may be asked for objective type questions. So just listen it and keep it in mind that which instrument is used for which purpose. Now let us go ahead. Now we are going into details of various modern analytical tools or instruments which are used for the analysis of nanomaterial. Let us look one by one. We just keep in mind which instrument is used for what purpose. For example, ultraviolet visible spectrophotometer, which is used for the preliminary confirmation of nanosubstance. What does it mean? If you have prepared any substance and you assume that it is a nanomaterial, then for the confirmation whether it is a nanomaterial or not, this UV visible spectrophotometer is used, right? After that, X-ray diffraction method or X-ray diffractometer. This method is used so as to detect the particle size of the nanomaterial or the crystal structure of the nanomaterial, right? Next, scanning electron microscope. There are two types of electron microscope, scanning electron microscope and transmission electron microscope. This is known as TEM and this is known as SEM. Let me repeat, scanning electron microscope, SEM, is used for the detecting the structure of the surface. How is the structure of nanomaterial, that we can find it out with the help of this scanning electron microscope. Next is our transmission electron microscope. With the help of this transmission electron microscope, we can detect particle size. In fact, particle size can be detected with the help of two instruments. Here also particle size has been written. Particle size can be detected with the help of X-ray diffractometer as well as TEM, means transmission electron microscope. With these two instruments we can detect particle size, but in a more precise manner we can detect the particle size with the help of transmission electron microscope. Next is Fourier transform infrared spectrophotometer. This is used to study whether the functional group is absorbed in the nanomaterial or not. These types of things to detect, this instrument is used. These are nothing but the modern tools or modern instruments which are used for different purposes. Right? Now we have finished our this point. In the next part we are going to study our history of nanomaterial, how the nanomaterial developed. First thing. Next thing, which scientists contributed to the nanoscience. We want to study that. So let us rub this and let us go ahead. Now we are discussing about history of nanochemistry or nanotechnology. Which scientist contributed to the nanotechnology, that I have written at this place. We just need to read it and just keep in mind for objective examination or objective questions for 1 mark only. In 1953, Watson and Crick is the name of the scientist who did some research at a basic level in nanochemistry. After that, the same research forwarded and contributed by Richard Feynman. This is the name of the scientist who did his research around 1959. After that, in 1966, von Neumann did his research in nanotechnology or nanochemistry. In 1986, Eric Drexler is also name of the scientist who contributed his research. Now, while studying the history of nanochemistry, you might be thinking that the nanotechnology or the nanochemistry started from this 1953 or in that area. But actual fact of the matter is that the history of nanochemistry is very, very ancient. Since from last 600 years ago, we are using nanochemistry. But by that time, human being was not known. This is known as nanochemistry. They were using nanomaterials. They were preparing nanomaterials. But by that time, human being was not known that the particle size of this is nanomaterial and we are using nanomaterials. That they were not known. That thing we need to go into details. That is history of nanomaterials. That we need to go into details. Let us go into details of that. We were discussing about the history of nanomaterial. You might be thinking that nanoscience or nanomaterial is the recent science. In fact, human being is using nanomaterials since from last 600 years. How do we came to know that they are using nanomaterials from those years? That we will study. Because in some ancient glass paintings, ruby red color was used. Red color was used for some glass painting. And those glass paintings are very, very old or ancient. In those paintings, red color was created by using nano-sized gold or silver nanomaterial. Right? From this, we can conclude that the nanoscience was known to our human beings since from last 600 years. But by that time, nanoscience was not defined, or human being was not known that this substance is having nanomaterial particles or its size is small or whatever it is, they were not known. Right? Next is in medieval or in some ancient pottery, luster was there, And this luster or glaze on the pottery was created with the help of metallic nanoparticles. Due to metallic nanoparticles, glaze or the shine or the luster was produced. So far as carbon black is concerned, this is the recently found compound. So far as carbon black is concerned, it was invented in 19th century, 1900. It is used in tires of cars. It is prepared from nanomaterial, that is carbon tubes. Next is our fumed silica, which is obtained from silicon rubber, is used as a sealant or adhesives. Sealant or adhesives. This is nothing but the history of nanomaterial, or you may call it as uses of nanomaterial. Now let us go to the next point. Now we are going to discuss about the applications or uses of nanomaterials. We are going to details of very few applications which are important. For example, nanomaterial is responsible so as to produce such a surface which is very strong, which is light in weight. The material is light in weight because we are using nanoparticles, smaller particles we are using. As we are using smaller particle, we can create strong substance, strong layer, lighter material, and cleaning surface. The surface gets clean automatically itself. That is known as cleaner surface. Therefore, the nanomaterial can be used for manufacturing of scratch-proof eyeglass. Means whatever your eyeglass is there, on that eyeglass, as we are getting strong surface, that eyeglass surface can be made scratch-proof. After that, we can prepare sunscreen also. After that, we can prepare crack-resistant paint, because as we know, nanomaterial substance is having more strength as compared to the normal bulk material. Therefore, we can also manufacture the crack-resistant paint also. After that, this electronic device, which is used generally in computers or mobiles or whatever it is. In modern technique, this is used. What is this? Magnetoresistive random access memory. I repeat, this is one of the electronic device which is used in computer, that is known as magnetoresistive random access memory, which is used in computers or like that. After that, in water purification techniques also, we are going to use nanoscience or nanochemistry. For example, if we use silver nanoparticles, then silver nanoparticles are bacterial disinfectant. Therefore, we can also carry out the water purification. Next is self-cleaning material. For this, let me consider lotus plant. As you know, lotus plant grows in muddy water, but the surface of the lotus leaves, it is hydrophobic. Let me write it here. It is in fact super hydrophobic. S-U-P-E-R, super hydrophobic. Super means very high level. Hydro means water. Phobic means डर लगना. ठीक है? So the surface of lotus leaves are having the nature of super hydrophobic. Because of super hydrophobic nature of the surface of the rose leaves, what happens? It repels water molecule. As it repels water molecule, along with the water molecule, it repels the mud also. So therefore, the lotus leaves are self-cleaning leaves. It is not necessary to clean. Always lotus leaves, you will find it that it is automatically getting cleaning. Why? Because it is having such a surface which is repelling water molecule. Along with the water molecule, mud also goes away. Mud does not stay on that particular leaf. Therefore, the leaf is getting clean. That is known as super hydrophobic nature and self-cleaning material. This is nothing but the uses or the applications of nanochemistry. In the next part, we are going into details of advantages and disadvantages of nanomaterial. Now, let us discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of nanochemistry. This is the last portion of our topic. What are the advantages of nanomaterial that we will discuss first of all? Because of nanomaterial, as we have seen, that magnetoresistive random access memory, at that place it is used. It means in electronics or computing devices, computers or all those things, it got revolution because of random access memory. After that, in case of energy sector, so far as solar film is concerned, this solar power is becoming more economical because of nanomaterial. It is also becoming energy efficient. We can store more and more energy because of nanomaterials. This is one of the important use in case of energy sector. In medical field, some smart drugs have been prepared with the help of nanomaterial, and these smart drugs can cure different diseases, mostly cancer or diabetes or like that. This is nothing but advantages of nanomaterial. What are disadvantages now? In fact, disadvantages are very less. Even if human beings' life is becoming more comfortable because of using nanomaterial, the nanomaterial is also causing some problems. That is known as disadvantages of nanomaterial. What are those disadvantages? The most important is it is also creating pollution. Whatever pollution is created with the help of nanomaterial, that is known as nanopollution. That is mostly air pollution. In fact, what happens is if the nano-sized particles are inhaled through respiratory tract, then those nanoparticles are getting accumulated on the surface of our all respiratory tract, and it is most badly affecting to lungs. Therefore, this is one of the most important disadvantage of nanoscience. Right? This is nothing but all our topic of green chemistry and nanochemistry. Thank you and goodbye, friends.